So guys, Miss Analytical is going to keep her promise. I will be discussing Kwame Brown losing subscribers. Within the past couple of days, I've noticed that his subscriber count went from 410,000 to 408,000. So we're going to talk about it. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, it's your girl Miss Analytical. I'm coming to you straight out of NYC on this quiet Wednesday evening, the first day of the last month of the year. So I know a lot of people are probably going to be doing Christmas shopping. A lot of people are probably just, saving up for next year. Some people probably don't even give a damn because this year was crazy, just like last year. It's just that it was just a smoother craziness. So I did a poll on my channel, and people who voted, they polled, the majority of them, they polled for my next topic that I should discuss should be about Kwame Brown losing subscribers. So I want to thank those that took time out to take the poll, and you can still vote. It's going to be open for at least the next 3 days. I'm surprised that many people were really interested in the topic because I didn't know that Kwame was still popping like that. But anyway, he got the most votes, so I'm going to go into it. Now, I am a Kwame Brown subscriber. I've known about Kwame Brown's channel since May of this year. And it all started when he spoke out against Steven Jackson, commenting on his experience in the NBA, and then they brought up Kwame Brown's name, and they weren't really insulting him per se, but they weren't speaking favorable of him. They was just, talking about how, he wasn't memorable, he was a bust, and they kind of felt bad for him. But Kwame Brown went off on them, and in a way, it was justifiable because, there are so many people that are in the NBA, but only 10% of them who are in the NBA in their time frame are those that are mostly spoken of. And those are the ones that usually get those contracts that are in the multi-millions, and then they get the endorsements. But there are a lot of people that are in the NBA who you never really know their names because unless you are an avid sports fan of the NBA, you don't know them unless you're a consumer. So a person may not be a fan of basketball at all, but will know who LeBron James is because they are avid consumers. They watch TV, they read magazines, and they look at products. And who do you see? Endorsements of those products by sports professionals, NBA players. I know NFL, I know about the baseball league, but I'm speaking about NBA. Kwame Brown was famous for being drafted straight out of high school. He was the number 1 overall draft pick, but he was called the biggest bust because he didn't live up to the hype. And I said that the problem was that he didn't get the development that he should have in terms of that college development. And he wasn't getting that development in high school like LeBron James did. And I use LeBron James over Kobe Bryant because Kobe Bryant had his father who was a former NBA player and played overseas in Italy. LeBron James was from the hood. He didn't have the Kobe Brown advantages, but he had excellent mentors who guided him. And then he was in those basketball camps. To my understanding and my research, that's where Kwame Brown lacked. He wasn't in those basketball camps. He wasn't in those camps with Kobe Bryant where LeBron was. So I always kind of speculated, in my opinion, that they used Kwame. I believe so. I believe he was used to prove a point. I believe it was some kind of affirmative action type of thing. And I feel as though they just used him, but they didn't think that he would last as long as he did. But they always made sure that he would never play in a championship game, in terms of, winning like the Eastern Conference nor the Western Conference. Because if you look at his highlights are only in when he's in high school. He doesn't have any career highlights during his career in the NBA. He doesn't have them. Whereas Eddie Curry, you might know him. He's from Chicago. Eddie Curry, he has career highlights. He was Illinois Mr. Basketball in 2001. But he does have that one thing, and he has that NBA championship with the Miami Heat. So he has that to his name, but he doesn't have the accomplishments of a LeBron James, Dwayne Wade. He doesn't have those guys. So I'm going to move up to the crux of the topic, which is Kwame Brown losing subs. Now, we all know Kwame Brown also went on Stephen A. Smith. When he went on Stephen A. Smith, his subscriber count went up from like 160 something to literally like 390 something views within about a week. Like the dude was blowing up crazy. Because they went on Stephen A. Smith. And Stephen A. Smith is like the villain of the story. He's the villain. Stephen A. Smith is the villain of ESPN. Let's just call it what it is. Now, I started really listening to him because I liked how he was standing up for himself, especially towards Charlamagne the God. And I felt like, people are picking on this dude. And then when I saw how he corrected Hassan Campbell, I said, oh, baby. And how Hassan disrespected him, it was just like, okay, time out for this. Enough is enough. So that's when I'm not gonna lie, I did support him, and I said I'm gonna be a sub, because he wasn't just talking about the busted bus, but it was a lot of things that he was saying about the community, the black community, that I was like, okay, I can rock with this, and then I subscribed. Now, what got me was I noticed that when he kept talking and talking about Candace Owens, and saying that he was saying good things about her, which is his prerogative. But it's like your core audience ain't gonna rock with that. The audience that you now have is totally different. So you might want to refrain from overly praising Candace Owens. Then I said, you're talking about the Kyle Rittenhouse situation, and you're supporting him, saying that he was shooting two white men because a white man put a gun in his face, and talking about how we, as certain black people who were speaking about the Kyle Rittenhouse case, I'm one of them, you were saying that we had our priorities wrong, and that we were too busy focusing on that trial and not focusing on Ahmaud Arbery. And why would we, as black people, care about something that had nothing to do with us when that was just basically white on white crime? That is when people started to notice that he was becoming more right-wing. And a lot of black people, which I disagree with a lot of black people's opinions about the flag, because that American flag is truly our flag, because this is our country. But they were saying that he was speaking Fox News talking points. He was also advocating for black conservatism, but not traditional black conservatism, like this black conservatism that's really like rampant with coonism. And that's when I noticed the count went from 410 to 4K. And really, it was the Black Authorities Saturday broadcast that really sealed it. When the Black Authorities, Jason Black, said, if I'm not saying nothing, that means I'm saying something. And I'm sounding just like that, because I'm going to tell you something. People have always wanted him to say something about him. And he was like, I've been watching. And I'm not going to get to that whole debate, debacle they have. I'm going to get to that in another video. But I want to say this. Overall, Kwame Brown, he seems like, for the most part, a dude that came on the scene with good intentions. But he has an issue, I feel, with a lot of black men because of his experience in the NBA. And he harbors a lot of resentment because he wasn't even welcomed. If you look at like photos in Jet Magazine, if you look in Ebony, if you look online at different events that the NBA had, you don't see him there. He was never in those cliques. He was just a guy who came into the NBA at a young age. That's all he pretty much was. He wasn't like anything spectacular. He wasn't even a Chris Bosh, you know. Chris Bosh, I'm looking at his stats. This dude, he was Mr. Texas, Mr. Basketball. Then he was AAC Rookie of the Year, 2003. Then he retired, number 1 retired jersey by Miami Heat. Then 2004 NBA Rookie of the Year, all NBA second team, 2007. Then he was 11 times NBA All-Star. Now, that's how you know when you're good, when you get that NBA All-Star status. Kwame never got that. You know? And Chris Bosh was an NBA championship. Now, a lot of people don't win the championships. You have one of the greatest basketball players, Charles Barkley, talks a lot of nonsense. He doesn't have the ring, but he's won the conferences. He's a conference champion. Kwame doesn't have those things. He only has achievements from high school. And let's keep it real and all the way real. Do you really think that if Kwame would have been had a stellar career in basketball, do you really think that Kwame would really be aligning himself with Candace Owens, with black conservatives, even YouTubers? Let's be honest. And I said this, like people who are on YouTube talking a lot, he would not. He wouldn't. But he's hurt. And I can understand, because you thought that you was going to have this stellar career in the NBA, and it didn't happen that way. And I blame, even though he says he would not have gone into the draft, but his mom wasn't able to work. So it was a decision that he made. He was going to go to college, but the family needed money. So he had to do what he had to do. But when he got to the NBA, I blame a lot of that on the coaches. They should have developed him, because I'm looking at the plays and I've never seen anyone play like him. I'm not a good basketball player. I'm not. And I'm going to keep it real. When I say this, forgive me. I play basketball, or he plays basketball just a little bit better than me. I'm just going to be honest. He plays a little bit better than me, and that speaks volumes, because I can't play basketball. I can play baseball. I can play soccer, kickball, badminton, but I cannot play. Oh, and I can play volleyball too, but I cannot play basketball. And he plays a little bit better than me. That's something to think about. And I blame the NBA for that, and I blame the coaches, because they should have developed him. They should have basically had him in a basketball clinic and had him time out. Even though some people say that his hands were very small, I'm not co-signing that. I just believe that he wasn't developed properly. Now look at LeBron James. Okay. LeBron James stats, and I shouldn't be doing this, but I have to. LeBron James stats, going back to 2001 to 2003, 3 times Ohio Mr. Basketball, 2002 and 2003, 2 times first team parade All-American, and he was the McDonald's All-American Game MVP in 2003. I remember that. Then he was a National High School Player of the Year, 2002, 2003, and then he got the Sports Illustrated Sports Person of the Year 3 times when he won those NBA championships. NBA 75th anniversary team. The 4 times Athlete of the Year from 2013, 16, 18, and 20 championship player. He got NBA assist leader. He's an NBA scoring champion. And he achieved NBA All-Rookie team, NBA Rookie of the Year, NBA 5 times All-Defense First Team, 2009, 2013, NBA All-Second Team. And he achieved a lot before he even was in the NBA championship. He's a 17 NBA All-Star from 2005 to 2021. And he ain't retiring no time soon. He's one of the greatest basketball players of all time. But how he got there, he was properly developed. Kwame was not. So therefore Kwame, and I'm not saying he was solely went to YouTube because of that, but this was a chance for him to basically get out his angst. And it's rightfully so. But when he's aligning with people who have those white supremacy ideas, it's dangerous. And it makes it look like you're only doing this because of the failed NBA career you had. Another thing I want to say is that what bothers me with Kwame, and this is what irritates me, he will call black people the MF word, the N word, the B word, a lot. You know, it was one thing when he did it to Stephen A. Smith. But to do it to Jason Black, it wasn't deserving. Jason, he does comment a lot. We don't see his face. But the reason being, I listened to a commentary years ago. Jason Black works in media. I've actually seen his face and how he looks. Jason Black cannot show his face. He works in, like, literally not in the top of media, but he works behind the scenes, and he's done so much in media. And showing his face can cost him not only his job, it can put his life in danger. That's the reason why he doesn't show his face. And I can understand, I get it. If you ever heard of a book called A Spook Who Sat by the Door, you probably heard the movie, but it was a book. The man who wrote the book and the actor was blacklisted. That's what can happen, to where you can't even work again and have a issue with even surviving. So Jason Black is risking his life by doing what he's doing. He's risking a lot. So Kwame Brown should have put respect on his name, and he should have a dialogue and talk with him. But when Kwame speaks about white people, I remember when he was talking with Judge Joe Brown, and Judge Joe Brown was calling this white woman the B word. He told him, "Oh, no, we can't do that. You can't do that. Gotta be careful. You know, I don't want to get in trouble." Trouble? What the fuck you getting in trouble for? I mean, he called a white woman a B word. I mean, I don't believe anybody should be, in my opinion, should be called names. But hey, if one person gonna be called names, I believe in equal discrimination. I don't believe in equal discrimination, but I believe in equality. I'm just going to say it like that. No discrimination. Everybody should get everything the same way. So, in my opinion, that's just my whole take on Mr. Brown. How I feel is that, you know, if you have conservative views, because like I said, I have conservative views. Most black people do. We who are conservative but are black, be one, we need to draw the line. We need to come out and draw the line and say, we're conservative, but we ain't conservatives. We ain't preaching the Brandon Tatum stuff, Terrence K. Williams, the Bevel and Bettys, even Candace Owens. Who else? I can't think of any black conservative. If you have any names, I'm gonna post something in a few minutes about that. We need to draw the line, and call it and separate ourselves. Because enough of this is enough. But Kwame Brown, I think that if you still aligning yourself, you got to just be cautious. Because I feel that he might be auditioning to be on Newsweek or even Fox News, you don't want your legacy to be tainted. It's not worth it at the end of the day. And if you don't believe me, just ask Stacey Dash. And with that being said, this is your girl, Miss Analytical. I'm signing off. Thank you for listening to my commentary. Subscribe to my channel, share, like, hit the notification bell, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.